What's up, Tom Sox fans? I'm Daniel Stein here alongside Tom Sox outfielder Andrew Mannelly. And while we know Andrew as the sweet hitting outfielder who's been doing really well in his stint with the Tom Sox so far, what you might not know about him is that he was a dual sport athlete in high school, mainly with the football. So I'm here today to hear more about that. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So first question for you. You grew up in a household with a lot of professional athletes. You have two brothers who played collegiate football and baseball respectively. Your grandfather played football, your dad played football. What is like your earliest like sports related memory?
Probably have to be playing baseball actually. Playing t-ball when I was about 4 or 5. And my mom would have to run down to first with me because I didn't know which way to go.
And so growing up in kind of like a household full of athletes, like what was the childhood like? Were you guys just kind of always growing up going to different games, or how was it?
It was interesting. It was very competitive. I would always go to my brother's baseball and football games. I was the youngest, so I was always dragged along to all of them. And it was just a super competitive household, with whatever sport it was always pretty competitive.
And so you're the youngest of 3, right?
Yeah.
So you had 2 older brothers, and was there any pressure on you as you were kind of coming up and watching them go kind of do the same thing that you eventually got to do?
I think a little bit. I think a lot of it was self-induced. Throughout my life, my parents always, tried to not put any pressure on me. But just seeing what both my brothers and my family has accomplished, I think there was a little bit of pressure, but I think pressure was also a good thing, and it pushed me to be where I am today. And
so you grew up in Georgia in a very kind of, Georgia is a state where a lot of pro football players come from. Describe like growing up and operating in that athletic arena and that competition. Like, how was it as a player? You talked about the pressure, but was it, how was it as daunting as it seems?
I think so. I think as you got older, you kind of settled in and it wasn't as daunting, but I went to Marist in Atlanta, and it's a big sports school, so I think, growing up there, going to all the football games and the baseball games and all the sports, and then seeing my brothers go through it, it was pretty, how would you say it, competitive. It was pretty intense. A lot of days practicing, a lot of fans at the games. It was pretty fun, but it was also intense.
Mm-hmm. And so when you were at Marist, you're part of 2 sports there. You had baseball and football. So that football team, you won a state championship, correct?
I did.
So what was it like playing for that team? I know you played 2 different positions. You're doing a little bit of running back, but also in the linebacking core too. How was it with that loaded team?
It was awesome. We went undefeated, won the state championship in 2020. There was a bunch of talent on that team. It wasn't, just a one-man show. It was everybody doing their part. But it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Let's see. I've warmed up my arm a little bit, so trying to make the throws as I need. So in that high school environment in Georgia, was there a player that stuck out that you played against that was like, wow, this person's going to the league, or like this guy was tough to face?
Definitely. In the state championship game, we played Jefferson, and their quarterback and their defensive back was Malachi Starks, who played for Georgia, and he got drafted by the Ravens this year. Mm-hmm. And then another player that stood out to me was my senior year. We played Benedictine in the 3rd round of the playoffs, and they had a running back, Justin Thomas, who played football and baseball actually, and he ended up playing baseball for Arkansas. It was in the World Series this year.
Yeah. And so you start out playing football and playing baseball at the same time. Do you feel that your experience playing high school football in Georgia also has like kind of informed how you play baseball, or like describe like, is there like kind of a similar like training regimen kind of, or how does that inform it?
I think so. I think just playing a bunch of sports in high school when you're a kid kind of helps you become more athletic, and kind of helps you kind of grow into being an athlete. I think playing football from a young age and all throughout high school kind of taught me to be a little tough. Just playing hard regardless of the situation. And I also think it taught me kind of how to, when you get hit in the mouth, how to bounce back.
And so talk a little bit about how you were making a decision to go to college as you progressed through high school. Did you have kind of a decision to make whether you wanted to play football or baseball?
I did. At first, I kind of wanted to play football in college, but as I get older, I kind of feel like I was a little better at baseball, and just my skill set was better for baseball. And I eventually picked baseball, but it was I definitely did want to play football at some points of my high school career.
Did you have offers to play football?
I did not. I think if I kind of put myself out there more, and went to some camps, I could have, but I don't think I could have gone to as big of a school as I wanted to playing football.
Well, a couple years later, it does seem like that you made the right decision. You've played at Wofford for a couple years now, including that team that made the NCAA regional for the first time, where you were part of that all Chapel Hill regional tournament team. And so describe playing for that team. How was it getting there for the first time, and describe kind of that experience of playing for a team that was fighting to do something that they haven't done before?
It was awesome. It was led by a bunch of seniors, a bunch of guys who've been in the program for a while, and really just knew how to play the offensive style of Wofford baseball. So I kind of learned a lot from them, and I think playing in the Chapel Hill Regional was really cool, especially playing against LSU. It was a lot of fun.
And so how would you describe the Wofford brand of baseball?
I would say gritty.
Yeah.
I think we're a pretty small ball team, but at the same time, we can hit balls hard, we can make plays, but I just think we just find a way to scratch and claw and get a win. When things aren't looking good, we're never going to give up, and we're just going to do our best to put our brand on the field.
Not dropping one. Not yet. Haven't dropped one yet. And so for the Tom Sox so far, you've had a really hot start. You're hitting over 400. You're also one of the handful of guys on the team that's played as much college baseball as you have. Do you think that that extra experience has helped you so far in the Valley?
I think so, definitely. I think having a couple seasons under my belt, going into my last season, it's definitely helped me in summer ball, just to have a good mindset, go out there and compete every day. I think just having that experience has made me a better player.
And so, looking ahead a little bit, you'll be entering your senior season at Wofford. And what are your goals for that season? Is there anything in particular that you want to accomplish that you haven't necessarily yet?
Obviously we want to win a SoCon championship. Ideally, we'd win the regular season championship and the tournament, and hopefully make a run in a regional. But I'm just looking to have some fun with the guys, win a lot of games, and just grow as a player and a person.
Yeah. All right, if you want to humor me, I'm going to go deep.
All right.
There you go. Good toss, good toss. Let me see if I can get one from there. There we go. There you go. I got one. All right, so my last thing, this isn't necessarily a question, but so your Uncle Patrick, he played for the Bears. Did you ever go to any games at Soldier Field?
I did. I went to a good bit. I was still young when he was playing, but my parents would take us along whenever we could, and it was a lot of fun. I remember getting to go in the practice facility, getting to go into the locker room, and we got to meet a couple of the superstars of that team. So yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Do you remember which players you met?
I met Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, and Devin Hester.
Yeah, there you go. Now, so here's something about me. So I grew up in Chicago.
Really?
And so those players that you mentioned, Cutler, Forte, Hester, those are my favorites. So I want to show you something.
Okay.
So the first Bears game that I ever remember going to, this is August 15th. It's a preseason game versus the Chargers. Know who that is?
That's my uncle.
That's your uncle right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Patrick Mannelly. He was the long snapper for the Bears for like 15 years. And so when I was doing preliminary research on the Tom Sox and your team, I was like, wait, Mannelly, hold on. I scroll down, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So here we go. All those years later, Mannelly and Stein linking up again. So Andrew, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.